Hello, I'm Tamara Caulder Richardson, and I've had 6 near death experiences, as well as many spiritually transformative experiences, as you would say, STEs. And that term was coined by Yvonne Kaysen. So that is something that many near death experiencers that have had multiple, especially the multiple near death experiencers, like I said, I've had 6. Hopefully, I'm stopping there, but I have had quite a few, and you can see, my story on my near-death experiences, and I have experienced in my NDEs being by location, being with angels, seeing Jesus in 2 of them, which one of them I was dead for 2 hours when I was 5 years old, died of pneumonia, dead on arrival 15 minutes and dead 2 hours. They couldn't get a pulse, and when they found a slight pulse when I was already covered up, I don't know if they pronounced me dead. I was covered in a sheet, that I was in a breathing tent, that Jesus brought me back. But before he did, I spent 3 days with him in heaven, which that 3 days was longer in that time. So I came back because I had been spirit starting it when I was 3 years old. I wanted to talk today, not so much involved with a near death experience, my experiences, but the after effects and how that affected me, because people, this is something they really need to know, that people don't talk about it. And I think sometimes it's a strange thing, but I've seen so many near death experiencers almost idolized. And this is not a good thing because, we're just human. We had something that, usually is a pain associated with it. And then you get all these after effects like seeing spirit people, hearing voices in dreams. You have visitations. It could be from Jesus or ascended masters, or it could be from past relatives. How do you process all this? I mean, the veil has become very thin. Now, luckily, if you're going to have an NDE, I had mine starting in childhood. So I had time to work on these things. I had time to sort out what all this meant. I did not, as a child, have anyone to talk to about this. And many near death experiencers come out later in life what happened because they don't have the support structure to talk about it at home. They go, "Oh, that's silly. That didn't happen," or they get invalidated. That's actually quite common. So, the after effects, I want to talk about that. And also, and you can almost go after effects slash spiritually transformative experiences. So, I'm going to start and just run through them. I'm going to talk about these. But early on as a child, again, I was seeing spirit people. I saw my uncle come into the room, and I didn't know he had already crossed over because I didn't understand, death. You would think I would have, because I had, early on a couple NDEs, but I didn't really understand because they seemed vibrant to me. And he came into my room to say hello, but then he said he had to go to work. And I'm thinking, well, why is he going into my bedroom when he doesn't even live in that city? Couldn't process that really to the next day. But was seeing people that I didn't know that wanted my help as a little girl, and I didn't know how to help them. I would sleep, the covers over my head. Early on, I developed a very close relationship with Jesus, God, and my angels. Pretty much so, it was Jesus at that point. My grandmother told me about him, and I was like, I need someone to interface this is going on. And so not all of them were bad. Some were what you would consider ghosts. Most of them at that point when I was younger, because they were reaching out and they saw that I was different. Most of the near-death experiencers do come back with a different energy resonance. And I'm going to talk about that, is that I can tell when another NDER is in the room. I can tell who they are. I've literally gone up, and I don't know why. Sometimes I just know, no, I know you had a drowning at age 4, and they'll go, "How do you know that?" I'm like, Jesus told me. I usually know this, but I also feel it by the energy. And I've felt before a couple, usually most of the people I've found, 95, 99%, or whatever, 90, we'll stick with 95, that I found so far, if they said they've had a near-death experience, did, because it's really come out as difficult. Okay. Not everybody goes, "Yay, isn't that great? I want to hear your story." I mean, your family and friends may not want to hear it at all, right? So it's something, it's like a secret. So when people come out, it's a big deal. But I've been around a couple that weren't, because I can feel it energetically when I'm around someone, even if they don't realize it. I said, "You've had a near death experience." They go, "I think I have. I'm not sure." I said, "Oh, I'm sure." They feel different. And I think it's because a part of them is become more interdimensional, because after all, they were spirit, they were in another realm, and now they're back in this realm. Right. So there's something about their energy. It's kind of like when you get a repurposed, I don't know, TV, right? A plasma TV or whatever it may be. You get it repurposed. It's not exactly as it was when it was first manufactured. And sometimes they'll put improvements in that TV. Some they'll go ahead and just stick that smart TV together for you. And it's not always a bad thing. So people do come back a little bit different. And I mean, I know that I did not only seeing the spirit people energy, some of the things that I've done energetically is I stopped watches for years. Now I know people don't wear them that much. They wore them for many years. I mean, sometimes some still do. You could now say, an Apple Watch or whatever, but it's still a watch. And I will kill the battery. And I don't mean to. It's just my energy. And it'll just stop. I literally have buckets and buckets. I have an episode on my YouTube channel, the Seek and Heaven channel. I got a hole, you can see it, of all the buckets of watches. That's just one bucket, but I used to have a lot. I've given so many away, and good quality ones. I cannot wear them. The other thing is I set off TSA alarms. I not only do I set off TSA alarms, I walked past a street corner with another lady, and we were having a serious conversation. I was spiritually trying to help her with the problem. She was a friend of mine, and we walked past a building, and the street light beside of it blew up, and all the lights in the building went on and then went off. As soon as it happened, not even a second, like almost the same time, I said, I did that. So I've opened my car door without a key fob. I have turned on my 75-inch TV by saying, "Wow." And I had no remote in my hand. I didn't know where. I said, "Where's the remote? I just want to, I don't want to miss it was something on my show," and it just came on. So I don't know how to control turning on the TV. I know a lot of people would think that's cool. I don't know how to control that. So there are energy things that we work with. I'm empathic. I can feel people's feelings. I can feel frequency vibration if they're dark or they're light, or if they have good intent, bad intent. A lot of this comes with side effects of near death experiences, or people, you could even say that I've had spiritual awakenings, Kundalini, or other types of awakenings, that this is our normal state. See, so, but it seems really shocking at first when you see these things. So I wanted to go over some of the things that I have experienced as my after effects. And I mentioned the energy, and some of the examples of the energy and the frequency is different with NDErs, including myself, since especially the multiple ones, the multiple NDErs. I've always had knowing. I've always had all the clear senses, like clairsentience, that is, or clairgustance, clairsentience hearing, clairgustance smelling, as well as clairvoyant. I was clairvoyant very much. So as a little kid, I would see things in film strips before they happen. Eventually, I would get names. But as I've become older, and now I'm a professional evidential medium, as well as channeler, which I say messenger, is that, I know discernment, and I only work with God and Jesus, but I do hear things and things I'm told to help people. And so I use it for good, because not everything that is spiritual or different, bad, right? That doesn't make sense to me. God would have people here, and he would be working through people here. So those are some of the things that I have, as well as the mediumship. That is something that I did not plan to do, really. But I kept trying to hide it. The older I got, it kept getting more enhanced. I didn't try at all, but I would have loved ones come and say, "Tell them I love them. Tell them happy birthday." Da, da, da. I was like, "Oh, for goodness sakes." So now they can just make an appointment and talk to their relatives of it. They're our relatives in heaven. They pray for us here. It's really special. And we're going to see them again in heaven, because they're not dead. They are very much alive in a different state, and they have a perfect body, not the same as this one. This is great. We got bodies and vessels, but it's more of an etheric spirit body, but it's just made of something different. It's more light filled, more bioluminescent. So, and that's what I've noticed too, is that people that are into years, like myself, you heal faster, you look younger, you quick to think, you think more conceptually now. And as well as some of the things, the after effects that continue to grow, this continues on. This just isn't stuck in the India. This keeps going. Is that I have past life recall. Yeah, I've done a lot of past life regression, but now I don't necessarily have to have that. I can just remember stuff. I can sit down and remember. I could write it down. I remember in details, and some of it's very evidential. So past life, in between life, recall, as well as out of body experiences. I've been experiencing that early on since around 13 years old when I was looking in the mirror and I popped behind my head and could see my head. That really freaked me out. I used to lay on the bed growing up because I just wanted all the arguing in the house to stop, which I didn't realize I was meditating. I was just like, "Make it be quiet. Please, Lord, make it quiet." And I was meditating, and I would go into altered states with that, and astral travel with dreams. I did that. I do that. I can do that at will. You can choose to do that at will. But again, if we are a spirit, this is no big deal to our natural state. And I don't believe it's anyone's responsibility to learn these things except for ourselves. As I say, our the biggest journey we'll ever experience is you or me. I mean, it's learning ourselves. So these are some of the things that I have experienced now lately because it continues to grow as you look at things fearlessly and these after effects, these spiritually transformed experiences happen. I've seen ghosts. I've seen a cryptid. I saw a rake, which is a type of skinny, long white creature in the back of my house, which I live in a very normal neighborhood. And my husband saw it too. He thought it was a signpost. And so I think every now and then he'll see things, even though he's not like me, because I mean he's more normal. He doesn't have really heightened spiritual gifts, but I think he sees it. So I feel that I have like a witness. I think that's why God allows that. But I've seen that. I've seen UFOs. My husband saw that too. Again, I think God wanted to put a witness in there. So he said, "Yeah, I saw it too. It was right by our car, traveling four on one side and one that was red, looked like molten lava, like a fireplace." And the feeling I got, I know this is strange. I didn't whip my phone out. I was not thinking about that. I felt a lot of love. I just did. I felt like they were family and I felt a lot of love. If you asked me in before that, I would have said that would have been weird, right? Or I wouldn't have liked that but that's not how I felt in the moment. And I actually really had the sensation of missing them. So then now it's questioning me, what kind of world do we live in? Where are we really from? What have we not been told that's true? And of course, when you say that, then you get reflected back, your answer. So, now I've been channeling Jesus. Didn't know that word. I didn't know what it was. I mean, I certainly, didn't know anything about those things early on, but I have journals going back 35 years. And that's exactly what I was doing. And then he started bringing me in the evenings. He would bring me like St. Ignatius and we go walking around and he had his donkey and he'd tell me, I didn't know who he was. Apparently he's a saint. And then other saints would come. His mother Mary's come through several times when my reading sessions. I never really talked much about her, in the Presbyterian church. My grandmother took me to, a few times. It wasn't really mentioned, but she's come through. But the way I look at it is heaven, right, is where we're from. Heaven's a big operation. You got Jesus, you got his mother, you got different holy men from all over the world and women, right? So they're all there and our angels to assist us. And of course, everyone that knows me, I'm a big fan of Jesus. He did resurrect me a few times. I do owe him my life, but there is a big operation. God's got all this planned out. But I think that I'm hoping that these near death experiences, these spiritually transformed experiences, these ongoing, I mean, I have stuff going on all the time that happens, and it just blows my mind. It's just like, wow, God is so big and he's so big in us. And, again, yeah, you want to have discernment, but certain experience, like I didn't plan that UFO thing. And I've seen many since then. And now communicating with ultra dimensionals. Some might you consider angels, not fallen ones. Y'all, I don't do that. But holy angels and like Aster, of the commander of Federation. I described and wrote it down. He's very polite and described what's going on here. So it doesn't take away from who I know Jesus is and so forth, but the world is so much bigger. And I just, encourage people from what I've learned to not be afraid, but to be able to embrace this life. God's got your back, believes in you, or you wouldn't be here, right? And so we all have a mission. And again, as Jesus tells me, that mission is to be the love you're created to be. And so I try to, put my trust in him. And when I have these new experiences, I kind of get tickled. I've heard fairies in the forest giggling, and I was with people, they heard it too. And I'm like, you got to be kidding. It's a freaking fairy. There are fairies out here. I didn't even think that was real. So now I just giggle. So I try to look at life with a childlike spirit and to I don't really look for these things. They just kind of find me, seriously. And I just get tickled sometimes. It's just amazing. So the big thing is that with all these spiritual gifts that's bestowed upon me and others like me, I have a lot of them though, I get a lot, is enjoy this life first. The people you love, the little things, petting your dog or cat, going on a walk, hugging a tree, all these are, enjoying your chocolate cake, not too much of it, but some of it, and to really enjoy this world. And so we don't want to get so far, zenned out that we forget why God put us here. And that is to love each other and to really be a part of this world. So thanks for listening to a little bit of my adventures. If you want to know more about me, you can check me out below. I'll also have, the Seeking Heaven channel that you can look at, where I've got a lot of these adventures that I go in a lot more detail. But thanks for having me today, and much love, everybody.